Before the events of The Lord of the Rings, we know that Bilbo had met Gollum years earlier, taking the precious ring from him. This first theory suggests that Gollum took his revenge, not on Bilbo, but on Frodo's parents. At the beginning of The Lord of the Rings, we learn that Bilbo has adopted Frodo after his parents were killed when he was 12. Frodo is told they died in a boating accident, or so we're told. Frodo learns this from Gandalf, who, as we all know, shares a special kinship with him. It's possible Gandalf wanted to spare Frodo the pain of knowing the real truth. As for Gollum, we know his madness over the ring is all-consuming, making it likely that he journeyed to the Shire in search of Bilbo. It's also plausible that Gollum could have mistaken Drogo Baggins, Frodo's father, for Bilbo himself. This theory ties the events of The Hobbit more closely to The Lord of the Rings, and could also explain why Bilbo felt obligated to care for Frodo, despite Frodo being 21 at the time of adoption. Perhaps Bilbo felt a sense of guilt. The bond between Sam and Frodo is the heart of the series. Seeing these two go from carefree teens to climbing Mount Doom is quite the journey. It's clear their friendship is what allowed them to succeed in the end. But was their connection just a friendship? This theory suggests that Sam and Frodo's relationship may have had romantic undertones. Fans, scholars, and academics have debated this extensively. In fact, the debate has persisted so long that in the Hobbit prequel trilogy, many noticed an overt love triangle added to the story, a detail not found in the original books. Fans speculated this was a deliberate move by the studio to avoid similar discourse around the primarily male cast. This pullback does lend credence to the theory. Though never confirmed, the idea that Sam and Frodo's bond was more than platonic continues to fascinate audiences. I'm glad you're with me. One of the more tragic moments in The Lord of the Rings is the story of the Ents. In the Two Towers, Pippin and Merry discover that only male Ents remain. A theory proposes that Saruman was responsible for the extinction of the Entwives, the female Ents. Saruman, in his quest to build an empire, may have destroyed them to expand his war machine. Tolkien, a World War I veteran, drew heavily from personal experience. Much like in real war, the natural world suffers the most. Having Saruman be the cause of the Entwives' extinction would emphasize Tolkien's message that war destroys more than just lives. It destroys entire ecosystems and cultures. This also explains why Treebeard and the remaining Ents were so reluctant to join the war. They may be the last of their kind, with no hope of rebuilding. Tolkien didn't just create one of the greatest fantasy stories of all time. He created the blueprint for nearly every fantasy world that followed. Middle-earth has been mapped in full by fans, and that has sparked a bold theory. Could Middle-earth be Westeros, thousands of years in the past? Game of Thrones used Tolkien's fantasy formula, but dialed back the magic aside from dragons. Some fans theorize that after centuries of war, the magical creatures of Middle-earth, elves, orcs, hobbits, went extinct, leaving only humans and dragons behind. This would explain the darker tone of Game of Thrones, and George R.R. Martin has openly acknowledged Tolkien's profound influence on him. It's not confirmed, of course, but the idea is compelling. Another theory addresses Gollum's dual personality. We know the ring transformed Smeagol into Gollum. But what if Gollum is more than a corrupted identity? What if he's the ring itself, manifesting a consciousness through Smeagol? This theory suggests the ring implanted a part of itself into Smeagol, explaining his split personality and obsession. It would also explain why Gollum could track the ring so easily. It was literally a part of him. A running joke throughout the trilogy is the Hobbit's enormous appetite. We've had one, yes, but what about second breakfast? But what if it's not a joke? This theory posits that hobbits actually require more food than other races due to a biological trait. In our world, smaller animals need to eat more frequently because of their high metabolism. Hobbits, being small, might be the same. Also, despite all the food they consume, we rarely see overweight hobbits. Their metabolism may just be that fast, meaning their eating habits aren't indulgent, but necessary. One of the most common fan complaints is, why didn't they just fly the eagles to Mount Doom? Well, maybe Gandalf wanted to. After falling with the Balrog, his famous last words were, "Fly, you fools." A theory suggests he meant that literally. Earlier in the film, Gandalf suggests heading north, where the eagles are known to live. Perhaps his plan was to meet them there and fly to Mordor. Unfortunately, things didn't go as planned, leaving Gandalf only one sentence to convey his plan. Now let's talk about Merry and Pippin. Why bring them along on such a dangerous mission? From the moment Frodo accepts the task of bearing the ring, Gandalf looks sad, as if he knows Frodo is doomed. This theory suggests that Merry, Pippin, and even Sam were meant as backup hobbits. Gandalf, knowing how brave hobbits can be, might have brought extras in case Frodo died or succumbed to the ring's influence. It's a dark theory, but with Middle-earth at stake, it would be logical for Gandalf to have contingency plans. Lastly, let's talk about the true hero of the story, Samwise Gamgee. One theory suggests the story we see isn't the truth. In reality, Frodo died on the way to Mount Doom, either at the hands of a creature or corrupted by the ring. Sam, heartbroken, finished the mission himself. To preserve Frodo's legacy, Sam fabricated much of the story. Frodo's inner strength, his survival, and even his departure with the elves. This theory supports what many already believe, that Sam was the real hero all along. The Lord of the Rings remains one of the most beloved and influential fantasy stories ever told. It inspired generations of storytellers and built a world that fans are still dissecting to this day. What's your favorite theory? Take an eagle down to the comments and let us know. Thanks for watching Movie Recap Pro, and we'll see you next time. Eagle.